Hey, I'm Jeremy with Push Leads. I help restoration companies get more leads without struggle or frustration. And what we're doing in this little video is digging into water damage restoration. So we have homeowners that are, having pipes burst at 2 a.m. and they're panicking, standing in an inch of water, and they're like, "What do I do?" And so they're just really pulling out their phone, and sort of their emotions are taking over here, right? And so when they can find a company that they trust, with a number they trust, that contractor, that restoration company gets the job. And one of my previous clients was an 1-800 water damage way back before they became sort of the franchise they are now. And the lady who, Diane Holmes, who was my client, and she ran a franchise here in the Asheville area where I live, she basically said, "Hey, we can have our own website." And so we started doing the work. So I started getting to know the industry at that point. But basically, this is going back about maybe 10, 12 years ago. What I started learning about this industry is that it's about being professional and getting the job done. And she basically started her company because it was one of the major franchises just did a really shite job. And so she's like, "Well, hell, I could do a better job than this." So anyway, let's get into this playbook. Enough about my past. But yeah, so what you're going to learn in this playbook is essentially, this is a guide built for restoration owners and marketing managers. And you're going to learn why restoration marketing is different. You're going to learn where the leads are actually coming from. We're going to dig into response and speed and reviews. We're going to do a 90-day execution plan, and then we're going to do tracking booked jobs, not just clicks. So key takeaways include leading with urgency. Every page, every ad, every touch point has to feature a visible phone number with clear 24/7 availability. Homeowners in crisis do not scroll, right? These people are sort of panicking, right? Speed wins more than budget. A 5-minute callback routinely beats a competitor that has a bigger budget. And of course, you want to have leads coming from different places. You want to have SEO happening. You want to be posting on your Google Business Profile, running LSAs. You want to be doing organic SEO, getting referrals, paid search. You want to be doing all of those things, right? Because let's just say you're spending $2,000 or $5,000, $8,000 or $10,000 on paid advertising channels. That one obviously one potential customer could be worth $30,000 to $50,000 to $100,000. So it's money well spent. You definitely want to be working with a marketing agency that is communicating with you regularly. And that's the problem. One of my restoration companies in Arkansas, their previous company wasn't doing any work, right? And then I just had a lead in Vegas. That company, their agency was doing the work, but the issue came down to he didn't know where his leads were coming from, and they were just very inconsistent. And guess what? The agency wasn't good at communicating. It's so crazy how often marketing agencies out there are scams or they don't do any work. It's insane. Anyway, rant over. Reviews are infrastructure. Your top map position is going to average around 240 reviews. So it's all about getting volume and recency. And you want to track your book jobs, not just clicks, right? So you really need to be you need to have some kind of call tracking, because it's all about calls. I prefer to do call rail, and I have that set up in an integrated system. We have it connected to my SEO operating system called PushRank, and it's connected to their Go High level. So we can exactly see in a cross-platform report, hey, here is where all the leads are coming from this week. And we just installed Microsoft Clarity, which tells us, here's what people are doing on the site, right? So the more data you can have, the better. Insist on meeting regularly with your agency. Sometimes I meet with my different clients, this one restoration company, 2 or 3 times a week, right? And we're doing stuff in each meeting, right? So that's key takeaways. And of course, let's start off with why water damage marketing works differently. So, a homeowner, obviously we talked about this earlier, they've got a water pouring through their ceiling or on the floor, and your marketing really needs to instantly have a visible phone number, 24/7 messaging, and proof that you're a licensed real company, not a polished brand story. They want authenticity. And regardless of whatever your slogan is, we're here when disaster strikes or whatever, kind of a bad slogan. but you need to have a story that connects with them emotionally, because what is it? I think I've heard that us humans are, what is it, 80-90% emotion and 10% logic. Maybe somebody who's a male is going to be more like maybe 70 percent logic, like Spock. I don't know, but bottom line is we are definitely making decisions, emotional decisions, and so it's important that your messaging correspond to that. And then we have the trust factor here, why reviews are non-negotiable. And really what happens is that 75% of consumers are reading reviews before they choose a local business. And this was Bright Local's 2024 consumer survey, where 75% of customers always or regularly are reading reviews online, right? So having an excellent Google business profile, responding to it, posting regularly. If your agency or you aren't posting regularly, blogs or inner hidden pages, you need to be posting blogs, inner hidden pages on your site, and you need to be responding to reviews. You need to be getting review velocity happening. So reviews are happening on an ongoing basis, and you need to have a system in place that does all that, right? So it's review volume and regency is what they call it, and that is like the ongoing aspect of all of it happening. So where do water damage leads come from? Right, so they come from LSA, Google Business Profile, organic SEO, referral, insurance networks, and pay-per-click. That for LSA, you want to have the Google guaranteed. They're charged per the lead, not by the click, and the costs are predictable. And you can have multiple LSAs, right? So my client has the Northwest Arkansas client has an LSA for HVAC. He also has an LSA for plumbing, right? Different LSA, and he's setting up another LSA for like water damage, right? So you can have multiple ones, even though Google doesn't like that. Whatever. It's all about being practical here. The Google Business Profile is going to drive the majority of the water damage near me searches. Once you're ranking in the top 3, then you're getting essentially traffic for free. You can back off on the LSA or paid strategy or keep it going. Organic SEO is going to be more like the long game. It's really important to have inner hidden pages that are connected to each other, that are around different topics related to your main topic. This is 80% of the equation for showing up in SEO. And I've been doing SEO for 15 years and figured all this out. Referral and insurance networks, a major source for established companies. Obviously, adjusters and plumbers are going to, these referrals are going to produce higher job values and more consistent volume. And then we have, of course, pay-per-click ads like Google Ads. And this is where you're filling the gap, right? And so you really should be having all of these happening at once. And if you're not having all of these happening, backing up for a second, if you're not having all of these happening, or your agency isn't responding, or you don't have an agency, consider reaching out to us. Have a conversation with us on LinkedIn, on our social channels. Reach out to us on YouTube. You can give us a call. Look us up at pushleads.com. The point is, you want to have the consistency. You want to have your agency be a partner, and they need to be good at communicating. And if they're not good, you could be like that Vegas person that reached out to me, found me on ChatGPT, and it was like, hey, I'm getting leads. They're just inconsistent. So it's like, all right, well, let's make them consistent. He's like, well, my agency doesn't even talk to me. I'm like, and you're paying $3,000 a month for someone who I'm going to pay $3,000 a month for someone who doesn't talk to me. I love it. Okay, so there's also this sort of diversification of your right mix, right? So local service ads are going to be the fastest trust, and it's going to be relatively affordable cost per ad. Google Business Profile is the free traffic, high intent. Organic SEO is long-term compounding. Referral networks are just in-person, high value, steady volume, and PPC ads, right? So there's kind of a visual of what we're talking about. And FYI, no one channel should account for more than 40 to 50% of your booked jobs. So when one channel becomes competitive or expensive, others keep your pipeline full, right? Or seasonality, or depending on the weather, right? So build your balance, build towards your balance, and stay in communication with your agency and keep it up. And why does response beat everything else? Well, homeowners in a flooding emergency are calling multiple companies, and they're hiring whoever answers first or calls back. So the MIT lead response management study found that contacting a lead within 5 minutes makes a business 100 times more likely to reach a customer than just waiting 30 minutes. And that's 20 times more and that person is 21 more times likely to become a lead. So you want to have that 5 minute callback down. Now, how does that work with messaging? I think you need to respond to messaging really fast, because obviously with different platforms like LSA, you can respond to messages. Pay attention to the messaging generally, making sure you are getting leads there. But bottom line is a really fast response, and that's what it's all about. And then here's the speed advantage by the numbers. It's going to be 100 times more likely to connect if you reach a lead. If you connect with the lead within 5 minutes versus waiting 30 minutes, it's 21 times more likely to qualify that lead within 5 minutes. And then also 88% would use a business that replies to all reviews, right? So people are skimming reviews. Of course, I think AI search visibility went from 5 to 45% for service-based businesses in the last year. This is as of August of 2026 when I'm making this video. It's really about replying, and then a rabbit trail there is also SEO is about being in multiple places. You need to have a YouTube channel. You need to be, you need to be on social media. You need to have a TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. What's happening is AIs are looking for multiple places, right? So you need to be doing all those things. 47% would use a business that 47% would use a business, consumers would use a business that never responds to their reviews. So it's really down 88% would use a business with reviews. So it's that same discipline that makes you answer the phone, answering reviews fast. Or if you want to have an automatic response to the reviews, that's fine, but you need to have someone or something answering the reviews. And obviously the more authenticity, the better. So be careful with AI here, because sometimes AI can come up with, crazy stuff, right? The response speed, how to operationalize it. Woo, I'm learning how to talk today. The 5-minute rule is set an internal SLA. Every inbound lead gets a human response within 5 hours. So using answering service, you can route them to a live person, never an AI or voicemail. Yes, I know AI can answer phones, and I think we have an AI that will route you to me when you call push leads. Just ask for Jeremy Ashburn. But the bottom line is, I'm not a restoration company, right? People are like, I'm a marketing company, but people want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Okay. Review response cadence, right? So Bright Local shows that 88% of consumers would use a business that responds to all reviews. We talked about that. So respond to every review, and assign one person who handles the review inbox every week, and use that review signal as a trust signal, because guess what? Google looks at review count and also recency, or how recent is the most recent reviews. So you need to have your reviews pumping out. What does water damage restoration marketing cost? Well, it varies by market size, competition. So obviously coastal hurricane prone markets run higher because companies are competing with the same emergency searches. And then you really want to think in cost per book job, not in cost per click or per lead. A $300 lead comes from a $12K job is cheap. A $50 lead that never converts is waste. So average water damage jobs run, between 3 and 12K. So these are high value jobs. And the market benchmarks may vary, right? So it just depends on where you are. And we do have a cost per lead for restoration companies article that you can search for, and I'm going to be making some videos for. So stay tuned. Number next. Okay, building your 90-day water damage marketing plan. Essentially, we have a three phases here: phase one, phase two, and phase three. A phase plan keeps you from spreading thin across too many channels, and this structure will essentially will front load the lead channels and build long-term organic assets in parallel. So you're getting jobs from paid strategies initially while planting lead seeds, organic SEO, referral networks, blah blah blah. So each phase builds on itself, and day 1 to 30 is building the foundation, and this is really about getting your infrastructure right. So fast, get going on the local service ads, get that approved. It can usually take about a week or so. Guess what? You can call Google for local service ads and get a real person, and they will help you get set up, right? It's going to be somebody in India, more than likely. But this is the one rare situation where you can call Google and say, help me set up my LSA, or help me fix it, or whatever, and somebody will be there to talk to you, because Google makes their money from ads, right? So at one point, Google was making most of their money before AI, like 96% of Google's income. This is back before pre-AI, probably in the teens, in the early 20s, was coming from Google ads. So Google wants to keep the money flowing, and if you're going to pay them, they're going to help you. You get what you pay for, right? So this is where you want to fully optimize your Google business profile for the right category. Water damage restoration service is generally your best category. And you want to upload before and after job photos and videos. And you want to complete every section. We do have a Google business profile guide for restoration companies. You want to fix citation inconsistencies. Basically, your business listings like Yelp, Facebook, they all need to have the same name, address, and phone number, or NAP, right? If they don't have that, then it's going to affect your visibility. Yep, it totally will, right? It's all these little things that add up. And you want to make sure you want to launch LSA if you don't have it already. And start with a 2 to 3K budget, and just see what you're getting there from it. And maybe start with a smaller budget if you're just getting started, right? Just make sure that the leads are being taken care of ASAP. Day 31 to 60 is building content and authority. So this is where you need to be building dedicated service pages. So it's not enough just to have pages, about your services like water damage in Asheville, North Carolina, but you need to have individual pages for burst pipes, basement flooding, sewage backup, all of these areas, storm damage, and appliance failures. And each page needs to target a specific search intent, and that will convert at a higher rate. So it's super important to have these inner hidden pages, and super important to have text links between them. This is why we created an SEO operating system that does it. It's called PushRank. I've been running it for 3 months. I've been doing SEO manually for 15 years. And with Claude and AI, I started thinking, hey, how can I take what I have and turn this into an actually system that works? So it turns out I love building systems. Number 2, launch your review collection. So make sure your review requests are part of the job process, especially the job completion process. So the moment the crew leaves, you need to have like a text or email. Usually text works better. And then you need to be responding to those reviews, and then also publish real case studies, right? Document completed jobs before and after. AI loves things like AI is kind of like Spock, right? Where like it loves real specific things before and afters. AI doesn't really respond well to real salesy, like, I'm the best SEO company in the entire universe. AI doesn't care about that, but it's like, here's what we did for this one client. Before, they had a flooded basement. We took care of them, dried it out, and in 3 days, they're back to normal. And then they're working with a contractor for a rebuild, or we do the rebuild regardless of what you guys do. So building trust, and having all of this. The consumer is really smart these days compared to 10 or 15 years ago. And so give the consumer, let them realize that they're going to be researching you. And they may even be pulling out an AI and say, hey, ChatGPT, tell me everything about XYZ restoration company. That's actually a really good idea. Pull out your AI, because again, the AI, The Pandora's AI box has been opened. Oh man, it's not going away, but it does save a lot of time. Of course, it does eat a lot of water. Hopefully they can fix that. But bottom line here is that you need to be checking out and seeing where you're showing up for AI searches, or check with your agency. If they are still not giving you a report on AI and your AI visibility, you might want to consider other options. There are a fair amount of agencies that get stuck, and I've been there before. So day 61 to 90 is expand and optimize. This is where you want to layer in PPC. You want to launch a tightly targeted PPC campaign, focusing on high intent keywords like emergency water damage, Asheville, North Carolina, flooded basement, Weaverville, and you want to have these happening. You want to be having referral relationships. So think of the people, the types of businesses that refer out to you. This usually plumbers and HVAC and property managers, insurance adjusters. These are people you need to be taking out to dinner, lunch, having an ongoing connection with them. In BNI, we call these referral spheres. It doesn't matter what you call it. You need to be connecting with those people. And it's really about going with referral relationships. It's about going deep versus going wide. Right? You can go wide and do a whole bunch of damage, so to speak, or, a lot of connections, but you can also go deep, and one person can introduce you to a job that could be a 50 or 100K job. So, and at the end of day 90, review which channels are producing the jobs, not just clicks or calls. And this is where having a cross-platform report of what's happening with my call rail, with my calls, with my Google Ads, with my LSA. Hey, this month we spent $5K on the LSA because of this, and this. Your agency needs to be talking about that. You need to have the consistency, because remember, there are a lot of old school agencies that just sort of do what they do, and they're just going to kind of do what they always did. Is that actually turning into anything that is helping you now? That's the real question. If there's something in your gut, it's like, man, I'm not sure about my agency, maybe consider doing some research on someone else if you have that problem. If you're happy with your agency, good. Local SEO fundamentals for water damage. We've already talked about this a lot, but you've got these three pillars. You've got the Google Business Profile, inner hidden pages, and also your review volume. So each one reinforces each other into a compounding loop that becomes increasingly hard for competitors to displace. So here is the three layers of local SEO. You've got the Google Business Profile strength, which is the categories, the photos, Q&A, service descriptions, and weekly posts. An incomplete profile is costing ranking positions, because guess what? You can have a strength to your Google Business Profile. And the stronger your profile, the bigger your bubble. Right? Your bubble isn't your review bubble, your Google Maps bubble, but what you're showing up for. So you have more reviews, your bubble gets bigger and stronger, and that's what it's all about. Service area depth, we talked about this, dedicated pages for each city, suburb, and damage type, and review volume and regency. Reviews are both the trust signal for homeowners and also a direct local ranking factor. So businesses in the top three positions are usually getting around 240 Google reviews. So that gap is big. Pay attention to the gap. Or in the UK, as they say, mind the gap. Review gap, top three versus the rest. In the top three positions, basically, you're going to get all the action. So Surf Cigna's analysis of bright local data from 2026 shows that businesses in the top three, we already talked about this, get these 240 average Google reviews. And so that's not a coincidence. It's all really about building those requests and building that into that. So if you want to learn more, you can look at the restoration company reviews and reputation management. And then let's talk about content that actually converts for restoration companies. So content that converts for restoration essentially is answering these questions when someone is mid-crisis. How do I shut off the water? What do I do in the first hour? Does insurance cover the damage? Those are the initial questions. And when you need to have this content on your site, or they're going to go somewhere else. And guess what? You can have this content on the site, but it doesn't have to be in the menu. It could be in your hidden pages. It's really, AIs can see all of that. And if AIs see that you're answering these common questions, then that's what it's all about. It's all about this high intent, low volume. And so remember too, when an AI sends you traffic, it's going to give you a chance of that person becoming an actual client or customer or using you is much higher than just like old-fashioned traditional Google searches. So there's 4 types of high converting restoration content. You have emergency action pages, which are step-by-step guides, how to shut off the water, how to move valuables, how to document damage. So super important. You could even have a guide on your homepage. Dealing with water damage, here's our guide. Make it a video. Make it a video series. Make it a downloadable, something there that gives value to the consumer. Insurance and claims content. Every insurance water damage claim and every water damage job involves a claim. So a clear page about how you work with adjusters is super important. Detail matters, and homeowners will just want to understand the process, because guess what? The homeowner is super smart. Consumers are super smart, right? Case studies with photos, we talked about that. Real jobs, before and after photos. They build trust, and homeowners are comparing companies that are, have this content and they can see videos and images versus not. And then you also don't want to forget about commercial focused pages. So if commercial accounts are part of your plan, then you want to have dedicated pages for property managers, etc. Commercial jobs are obviously run larger and bring in repeat volume, and it's usually more about the relationship there. Let's talk about insurance adjusters. This is the most underused but most high value. So why adjuster referrals are different. Adjuster referrals tend to produce higher job values, faster booking decisions, and steadier volume than cold organic traffic. So when an adjuster recommends you, the homeowner's trust is already established because the adjuster says, I've got you, right? So you're not competing. You're not even dealing with SEO, Google Ads, LSA. It's about, off page or off site or whatever, non-SEO. Relationship building. Building these relationships is the most underused channel relative to its ROI. So a couple quick suggestions here. How to build adjuster relationships. You can identify the top 10 to 15 in your area who are insurance adjusters. Create a one-page vendor profile with your certifications, and follow up after every shared job with a completion report that makes the adjuster's file easier to close. Stay visible, holiday cards, check-ins, lunch meetings, relationships, inviting them out. And if they're referring to you, then spread the love. And then let's track which channels actually produce the book jobs, right? So the biggest mistake that restoration companies make is with their marketing is judging channels by calls or clicks instead of booked jobs. So a channel that produces like 20 cheap leads but never converts is a lot worse, right, than one producing 5 booked jobs. So this is where, again, a cross-platform report. Ask your agency today if they will make a cross-platform report for you. I'm Jeremy I'm just kidding. I can do the radio voice. All right, so set up call tracking, use CallRail, collect 90 days of data, analyze your book jobs, and reallocate your budget. Or if you have a cross-platform report, you could do it on a weekly or monthly basis. Know the channels that are booking. And stop spreading your budget to these channels that aren't working. And what good tracking usually will reveal is going to be channel quality differences. One channel can book a high value reconstruction job, while other ones could just going to bring in small mitigation jobs. And so the call tracking by source is going to show us where it's coming from. You have the job type routing, understanding whether a call is a mitigation job or full restoration changes how you staff, price, and dispatch. And routing correctly starts with knowing what you're getting from each channel, right? Have the data, insist on the data. Connect the data to AI. Like we just recently did this, same restoration company. They wanted to be connected to my system so they can see what marketing decisions we're making, and they can ask, they can use their ChatGPT to ask my system, hey, where are my calls coming from? Where are my leads coming from? Where's my highest spend? They can ask that without having to jump into a Zoom meeting for me, right? Why? Because I'm about being transparent, and I created these systems that just, give all this data. So the funniest thing about data is that generally speaking, and this is one thing I heard years ago, when we humans assume something that this means this, it's almost not even 100% wrong when we assume things. When you look at the data, say the data says the jobs come in from LSA for water damage. When we spend 2K, we make 10K, in booked jobs, right? So you need to have that kind of data. And so don't assume things. Just let the data be your guide. Let the data be your guide. True cost per book job. With source data, you can calculate a real cost per job by channel, not just by click, and that number is telling you everything. Then we do have an explainer on water mitigation versus restoration, and that will help as well. So there is a huge difference between mitigation and full restoration, and so be aware of that as well. And here's some frequently asked questions. It's time for the lightning round. Frequently asked questions. How fast should a water damage company respond to a lead? Almost immediately, within 5 minutes is super critical. Most homeowners call multiple companies at the same time. So every minute you delay is like no good, bro. Is SEO or paid advertising more important? They're both important. LSA and PPC produces different kinds of leads, while organic can take months or sometimes years. SEO is slower, but it does compound over time. And so if your agency is doing work, you should start seeing a trickle of more and more work, more and more jobs coming in from SEO. If they're not, ask them for ask what they're doing. Ask for a list of tasks that they've done on the website. Ask for a cross-platform report. How many Google reviews does a restoration company need? Really, if you could shoot for the 240, that's awesome. But really, just try to get above the one that's at number one. And it's the consistency and recency matter as much as the total volume. That also pumps it up, right? So you want to pump up that up. So do restoration companies market to insurance adjusters? Absolutely. We talked about this literally 5 seconds ago. So it's one of the most underused channels. We do have this insurance marketing guide, as we talked about. So your next step is start the 90-day action plan. The companies that win the most water damage jobs in 2026 aren't the ones that have the biggest ad budgets. They're the ones that have the fastest response, the most trusted Google Ads presence, and the most consistent review flow. It's all about the flow, baby. Everything in this playbook is designed to do exactly that. So this week, start with auditing your Google Business Profile. Make sure you have all your services filled out, all the services you do with descriptions. Make sure you're posting 3 to 5 times a week on your business profile. Make sure you're adding images and videos to the profile. Pump it up, baby. This month, you need to be building dedicated service pages, or tell your agency to do that. Ask your agency for a list of pages they published in the last week, month. If they can't really give you a definite answer, or they're giving you the runaround, then what if they're not doing any work? I'm sorry, but hey, look, Rant once again is restarted. I had a lawyer about 8-10 years ago, and he was referred to me. I logged in before I got started because I don't take on a company unless it's a good fit, and I want to know what I'm getting into. So I always insist on doing some research on the front end. And basically discovered that there was no work being done. It's like, what? We're spending $1,400 a month for nothing. And it's like, well, how did you get this agency to work for you? I mean, I think I saw like 1 or 2 inner pages. You need like 20 to 40 inner pages a month, bro. Minimum, around different subjects. Inner hidden pages, that's 80% of the equation. Sorry I keep saying bro so much. I guess I'm hanging around with too many Gen Z. I don't have Gen Z friends. So it's probably too much TikTok, but nonetheless. So you want to basically have these inner hidden pages, and you want to start connecting them, or insist your agency does it. Getting back to the lawyer, basically what happened is that, he had done a year with this guy's agency and $1,400 a month, and he got 1 lead in a whole year. And so we actually did the work, met with him regularly, and, tripled or quadrupled his leads. So super important that you have an ongoing connection with your agency. Super important they're communicating and giving you a cross-platform report. This quarter is layering the PPC and setting up call tracking. I would have call tracking set up in the first week. And so the homeowner is basically standing in a flooded basement at 2 a.m. They're searching for you right now. Are they finding you? Make sure it's you. I'm Jeremy Ashburn with Push Leads, helping restoration companies get more leads without struggle or frustration. Talk to you soon. Thanks.